Okay, Mrs. Miller's class, our voices are off. We are showing our best Pattison manners.
At any time, let's say turn the lights out, if you would like to have the lights out. That's
I think that would be easier.
okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna take my time.
Watch out. So I can stand, right?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely free.
Okay. I can go or?
Yes.
Whenever you're
Yes?
ready.
Okay.
This is
So-
Yahya Sat, and he is here to talk to us about Egypt.
Egypt. How many of you knows anything about Egypt? You know about Egypt? Okay. And Yahya, you know nothing about Egypt? No? Okay. So where is Egypt? In Africa, okay? So this is Africa, right? This is where we are here, right? Okay. So if you go on the latitude, you know what the latitude is? I studied with Yahya, so I know that you know what the latitude is. So if you go on the same latitude as Houston, it's actually about the same as Cairo. And Alexandria, which is the second largest city in Egypt, which is on the Mediterranean, is almost the same latitude as San Diego, California. Okay? Now, the time zone difference, there's a big time zone difference because the longitude is very different, right? So it's New York plus, it's actually now it's 7 hours. So it's Houston plus 8 hours. So what time is it now in Egypt? It's 8:30 here in the morning. So plus 8 hours, so it's 4:30 in the afternoon in Egypt right now. Okay? Right. Which is interesting because I always call my mom in the morning, every morning, and we all call our families back in Egypt during the weekend. And when we call them in the morning, it's starting to getting dark over there in Egypt.
You tell them good night and they say good morning.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. And sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it doesn't happen very often, but if it's sometimes we call them late at night here, so about 10 o'clock at night, and that would be very early morning in Egypt. So sometimes we say they tell us good night and we tell them good morning. Okay, so it's the same time zone as South Africa. This is South Africa.
Yes.
All right. It's the same time zone as Greece. It's the same time zone as Poland and the same time zone as Finland. Okay. So next one. And this is the map of Egypt. All right. It's almost a square. Almost a square. And the area is about 386,000 square miles. The distance from here to here is 1,000 kilometers, so that would be 600 miles. Okay, so this is 600 miles by 600 miles. And comes all the way across is the Nile. So this is the Nile. Comes from Sudan, comes from Ethiopia, all the way down in Africa, and then it goes into Egypt, and it crosses Egypt all the way from the south until it feeds into the Mediterranean in the north. And these are the big cities in Egypt. So Cairo is the capital. So it's like Austin, but is the capital of Texas, like Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. But it's actually big because it's kind of Washington plus New York all combined, and we're going to talk about that. Alexandria is the second largest city, and there are several other cities on the Nile. The most famous of them is Luxor, and that's where all the pharaohs, actually most of the gold was there too. And Port Said is another big city. Sharm el-Sheikh is another famous city because a lot of conferences are held in Sharm el-Sheikh, and Sharm el-Sheikh is in the Sinai Peninsula. This is the Sinai Peninsula, which is very interesting. Sinai is in Asia, while the rest of Egypt is in Africa. So Egypt is the only country that's both African and Asian at the same time. Okay? All right. The weather. Let's talk about the population. Egypt's population is 80 million people. So think of it as this is California plus New York combined. California is about 45 million. New York is about 35 million. You combine them, it's about 80 million. 45 plus 35, I think, is 80, right? You agree with that, Stephen?
Yeah.
Okay. And the area of Egypt is both Texas and New Mexico combined, so it's big. It's big. If you think Texas is big, Egypt is slightly bigger. Okay? The weather. So Cairo and Houston have about the same weather. So in July, which is the summertime, which tends to be very hot, the high here is 96 Fahrenheit on average, close to 100. It gets very hot in the summer, right? And that's in Cairo. It's about the same in Houston, 94 in Houston. I mixed them up. So Houston is 94, and in July it's 96. Alexandria is very different. Alexandria is cooler. It's on the coast. It's on the Mediterranean. The weather in Alexandria is very similar to San Diego. They say that San Diego is actually the best weather in the world, which is actually very true. Alexandria is about the same, although it tends to be a little hotter actually in the summer. Alexandria can be hotter in the summer. But in winter time, it's very much like San Diego. Okay? I'd rather be in Alexandria all the time. The economy of Egypt is the second largest in Africa, after South Africa. It's about $500 billion economy. So it's much smaller than Texas, much smaller. It's a poorer country than the United States. It's not as wealthy. And most people work in agriculture, in services. I'm going to talk about that. And there's some industry and energy. But the income per capita in Egypt in the past 20 years have been growing steadily. Okay, so it used to be much poorer. Now it's not as poor, but it's not a rich country either. Okay. Any questions? Yes.
Well, it isn't a question, but I've lived in South Africa for 3 years.
Huh? You have been to you have been in South Africa?
For 3 years.
For 3 years? Wow. I have never been to South Africa. So. Yes.
Didn't they make pyramids in Egypt?
I'm sorry?
Didn't they make pyramids?
The pyramids are in Egypt.
I can show them.
Here are the pyramids.
Yeah. No, they
Most Egyptians are farmers, okay, or come from a farming background. And it's, I think like a lot of our families, in fact, most people in the world, originally they were farmers. If you need to go way back just to understand that we all were farmers, because there is a point in time there was no manufacturing, no industry. Everybody was just farming. But still, most Egyptians are still farmers. It's all tied to the Nile Delta. This is a satellite picture of Egypt, and the green area is the farmed area, and the rest is desert. So you can see this is what's called the Nile Delta, right? So it's like the Mississippi Delta, and this is all farming, and the Nile, and there is a narrow valley, and this is what's called the Nile Valley. There's a narrow valley that runs around inside the desert, and that's actually what created Egypt. You can still see that farming is still very close to the pyramid. And actually the line of the desert, it gets to be very narrow valley. It doesn't show in this picture, but at the end of these trees is actually where the desert is. So what you see in here, at the end of the valley, you get right the desert. The farming is still the same in Egypt as it used to be 3,000–4,000 years ago. I mean, you can see this is a picture from the ancient tombs of the pharaohs, and they used to document, they used to draw how they were farming, and you can see that they are farming almost in the same way that's still farming till today in Egypt.
Question.
Yes.
Is the population concentrated
Yes.
around enough?
Most of the population of Egypt is concentrated in this green area, with some exceptions. The exceptions are the Sinai Peninsula. There's a large concentration here and here, and there is some concentration in this area here on the Mediterranean. But about 90% of the Egyptian population is limited to the Nile and the Nile Valley and the Delta. Yes.
Do you see a lot of, like, are there like, well, have you ever seen it any, like, have you ever, like, been to the Nile? Or, is there
Yes, I have been to the Nile many times. I didn't swim in the Nile, but I've been on the Nile. I'll show you pictures of the Nile in Cairo. Yeah?
Is there like pyramids in the Nile?
No, Now, most people think there are alligators in the Nile. There are no alligators in the Nile. I have never seen one. There are none of them. What's happening is there probably used to be. But if I go back, in the 1960s, so about 40, 50 years ago, Egypt built a massive dam here. It's actually, till today, is the largest dam in the world, until China is building right now the Three Gorges Dam. But it's the largest, one of the largest dams in the world, and that blocks the water. It's actually, I'm sorry, it's right here. And that dam has blocked most of the alligators probably that used to come all the way, and it's regulating the Nile. It's also producing about most of the electricity in Egypt is where that dam is. Yes?
Is that why the water's a little bit more bunchy?
Yes, exactly. It created an artificial lake. By blocking the water that comes, it created an artificial lake, and this is actually the largest artificial lake in the world. So this is about 200 miles. So it's a big lake. Yeah.
When you lived in Egypt, where you were from?
Yes, that's where I'm from. I was born in Egypt, and I came to the United States when I was 25 years old. I'm now 40. And,
No, you're 41.
or 41, I'm sorry. I'm now 41. Just to be
Now
precise.
by one.
I like to believe I'm 40, but you keep
That's
reminding
age
me.
low.
I've been in the United States for 16 years. I did my schooling in the United States. I did my PhD in engineering in Cornell University. And Cornell University is in New York, if you didn't know. Okay? All right. Talked about farming. So let's talk about industry. What does Egypt make? What does Texas make?
Oil.
Texas makes a lot of oil, that's correct. Makes
don't make it,
a lot of
they
gas
bring it.
too. We take it out, we extract it. Texas makes a lot of oil equipment also. All the equipment that's used to produce the oil, a lot of it is made in Texas. That's what I do as my job. Texas makes also a lot of the food and the beef processing for the rest of the United States actually happens here in Texas. Did you see any of that before? Did you see all the herds outside Houston? So that actually makes a lot of the beef, and a lot of the food processing for the rest of the United States happens in Texas. It's not very dissimilar. Egypt makes a lot of gas. Egypt produces gas and exports gas. So Egypt exports gas to Europe, natural gas, and oil too. But also a lot of the old industry is related to farming. So Egypt made textile. You know what textile is? Okay, clothing. Right, so the cloth, so from cotton, Egypt is one of the largest producers of cotton in the world. And from cotton, you make clothing, and Egypt does that. And actually some of the clothing that we discover in Walmart is made in Egypt, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
As they grow stuff, isn't that really hot?
It's very hot, but it's hot in Texas too, and we grow stuff here. So crops, crops, they grow in different environments. So some crops are better for hot environments. Some crops actually are even better for very hot environment, like coffee, for example.
Yeah.
Coffee likes hot and humid, right? Wheat likes moderate. So Mediterranean environment is very good for wheat. And actually, one of the newest inventions is that you can grow wheat in very cold environments. So Canada, for example, has changed the wheat seeds so they can actually grow in a very cold environment in Canada, which is very good for them. Yes.
Does Egypt have a lot of droughts?
It used to happen before the dam. So before that dam we talked about, it used to be that, 1 year there comes a lot of water and it floods everywhere. And another year there will come no water at all and everybody will die. So that's why Egypt built the dam. So the dam saves the water that comes from the flood for the years when there's going to be drought. So Egypt now doesn't have any of the drought. So unfortunately, the droughts, they are still happening in other countries in Africa because they have not been able yet to regulate the flow of the rivers using dams. Yeah? Now, this is actually the high dam I was talking about. It's called the High Aswan Dam. So you can see it's actually extending all the way across the Nile. And there are this area regulates the water that goes into the Nile to the rest of Egypt. So you can essentially close the whole flow if you want. You can stop the River Nile completely with this dam. They have done it before. Or you can let it all go, or you can go in between. And as you can see, this is one of the openings. There are many others, and it's only one which is open. So they can regulate the flow depending on how much water the rest of the country needs. Okay? Egypt also makes and assembles cars. The M1A1 Abrams tank, I don't know if you know about it, but this is one of the big American tanks. It's actually, parts of it are being manufactured in Egypt, jointly between the United States and Egypt. There's a question.
Where did you live in Egypt?
Where? I actually lived in Cairo, and I lived less than a mile away from the Nile. Okay? All right, so let's talk about other things. So Egypt actually has, how many of you know about Facebook? Wow, okay. So Egypt has about 3.5 million subscribers on Facebook. It's the largest number of Facebook subscribers in the Middle East and Africa. Egyptians love Facebook. It's amazing. I never liked Facebook that much until I discovered everybody likes Facebook there. About half of Egyptians have cell phone. $30 million, less than half. And it actually keeps rising. And it's amazing. When you walk in Egypt, everybody is holding a cell phone and talking on it, which is very different. Internet is free in Egypt. So anybody can get free internet. Yeah.
Oh, come on!
This is a golf course which you can actually see the pyramid in the back. But you can see it. And Egypt has built a smart, what they call a smart village, which is actually an anchor for all of the internet companies. As a matter of fact, Microsoft, this is the building that's housing Microsoft in Egypt. Okay. Yeah, Egypt Air, let's talk about that. So Egypt Air flies and Delta, both they have. If you want to go to Egypt, go to your parents and convince them that you want to go to Egypt. Egypt Air and Delta, they have both daily flights from New York, JFK, to Cairo. It's a non-stop flight. You know how long it takes to go there?
2
You can guess. You know because you did it before. Yeah. No, it takes a bit, yeah, go ahead.
17 hours?
No, less than that.
16 hours?
It's somewhere in between. So it's between 8 and 16.
12.
12 hours. It takes between 10 and 12 hours. And the reason it varies, do you know why it varies? Why it's sometimes 10, sometimes 12? Yeah.
Because the jet stream.
Jet stream, right? There is a big wind that's high above the earth that it actually, if it's blowing with you, it can push the plane faster. And it can make the plane make the trip in 10 hours. If it's going against you, it will make it in about 12 hours. Okay. Let's talk about the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal is a very important part of the Egyptian history, and most Egyptians are very, very proud of the High Dam, which we talked about, and also the Suez Canal. The Suez Canal connects the Red Sea with the Mediterranean. So it used to be that to go from Asia to Europe, you have to go all the way around Africa and then go to Asia. Right now what happens is that they cross immediately from Asia, go into the Red Sea, cross the Suez Canal, and then get into Europe. People thought that the Suez Canal was impossible. It can never be done. But there is a French engineer who was convinced that this can be done, and they started digging it. And it was dug manually, so people were digging it manually, and Egyptian farmers did it by themselves, with their hands, almost, and shovels. and at a significant human cost. A lot of people died in this process, so that's why Egyptians take a lot of pride in the digging of the Suez Canal. Yeah.
How do people die by digging?
Because of the heat and because of a lot of work and very little food, a lot of people died. Okay? It was essentially slave labor at that time. This was about now 200 years ago. Yes?
Were they made to do it?
Yes, they were forced to do it.
So they didn't have a choice?
They did not have a choice. Right? Any
Did
other questions?
anyone leave?
What?
Did anyone leave?
Did they want to live?
Did anyone leave?
Yeah, yes, many people survived, of course, but many people died also. And that's why most Egyptians take a lot of pride in this, because it was dug with, you know, a lot of sacrifice. Yes?
What's that tunnel in there?
Yes, I'll tell you about that. So recently, to connect Egypt with the Sinai Peninsula, so the Suez Canal separates Asia from Africa. So it separates the Sinai Peninsula from the rest of Egypt. Egypt built two things. There is a tunnel under the Suez Canal, and Yahya has been in that tunnel. And it takes about 20 minutes in the tunnel to cross under the Suez Canal. So you go under the Suez Canal and come from the other side. And also there's a suspended bridge between the two. So this is the Suez Canal. And actually this is an American aircraft carrier that's crossing the Suez Canal. And it's crossing underneath the bridge, and that's when that picture was taken. It's a 5-mile suspended bridge. This is about 5 miles.
Wow.
So it's actually a very long bridge. Okay, this is Cairo University. Let's talk about education. This is where I graduated in Egypt. This is the American University in Cairo. The American University in Cairo is about 100 years old. Egypt also has the oldest university in the world, and that's called Al-Azhar University. It's a religious school, and this was established in 1971. So how many years ago is that?
A lot.
A lot. It's more than 1,000 years old.
What? 1,000.
1,000 something.
More than 5,000.
If you have a comment, please raise your hand.
So famous Egyptians. Okay, so several famous Egyptians, and I did it by who won Nobel Prize. How many of you know about Nobel Prize? Nobel Prize. So this is the highest possible prize that anybody can win. So President Obama won the Nobel what prize? The Peace Prize, right? So he just won it this year. So President Sadat has won the Nobel Peace Prize also in 1979. He was the president of Egypt at that time for the peace treaty he made with Israel. And as you can see here, this is President Sadat. This is President Jimmy Carter, who was the president of the United States at that time. And this is Menachem Begin, who was the Prime Minister of Israel. And that's during the signing of the peace treaty. Naguib Mahfouz won the Nobel Peace Prize for Literature in 1988. So he writes novels. And his novels are very nice. They are very colorful explanation of how old Egyptians live. Okay? And then Ahmed Zuweil is the most recent Egyptian to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 1999. He's a chemist. He won it in chemistry. And actually he is an American Egyptian. So he's like me. He was born in Egypt. He immigrated to the United States. He did all of his research in the United States, and he's working at the University of California. Okay, so hopefully there's gonna be more. Yeah. President Sadat died. Naguib Mahfouz died, right?
Yep.
I think, yeah. And Ahmed Zuweil is still alive.
قول
So two of them died, one of them didn't.
محمد
He's still alive. And he's still working here in the United States.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Muhammad al-Baradei has the Nobel Prize too,
Yeah, I forgot that.
and he's still alive, and
Yes,
he's actually running
there's
for
a fourth
president.
one. I forgot that. So Mohammed al-Baradei, he was the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency. So this is the international agency which regulates nuclear power in the world. And he has won the Nobel Peace Prize actually last year. I forgot that. He's still alive. Boutros Ghali was the Secretary General of the United States, of the United Nations. Omar Sharif is an actor. He used to be an old actor. I don't know if you guys would know that. You know him, right? So,
Yeah, Dr. Zhivago.
Zhivago, exactly. Zahid Hawass, you see him on Discovery Channel, I think, a lot. I see him on Discovery Channel. The guy with the hat, he talks about the pyramids.
He discovered me.
Right. Farouk El-Baz, he is a NASA scientist, and he's still working in NASA. And they actually, he's the one who spotted the landing spot of Apollo. So he worked on in the Apollo program. Okay, some of them. So this is Cairo. So this is the Nile, and as you can see, it's highly built. Cairo has 15 million people. So a lot of people live in Cairo. You can see there are many bridges across the Nile. I actually live somewhere around here.
I know.
Yeah, tell me. You know where we live?
Like, if you had a big picture,
Yeah.
you can actually spot our house.
Yeah. If you go on Google Earth, obviously you'll see our house. This is the Cairo Tower, which is, if you go up there, it's a very nice view of all of Cairo. It's called the City of the Thousand Minarets. Do you know what a minaret is?
Ooh,
Just one second. Can you give a chance?
yeah. Those big tall buildings.
A minaret this is what's called a mosque. A mosque is where Muslims pray. It's like a church for Christians, like a synagogue for Jews. And a mosque has a minaret. This is called a minaret. And it's called a minaret because at the top of it, a long time ago, they used to go all the way up to call for prayer. So they want to go all the way up so a lot of people would hear it. And Cairo is famous for being a city of 1,000 minarets because there are probably more than 1,000 minarets of those structures in Cairo. Yes, Yahya, you want to say something? Go. This is how so he runs our house, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
We went there.
Yeah. Yes.
What's there? What are you pointing
What's
to?
there? Yeah.
Yeah, what is there?
You went to the tower? Where did you go? You went
Can't
here?
Yes.
reach.
Yeah, you went to many places.
What is that, Yahya? Do you know what it
This
is?
is,
Building.
yeah, downtown Cairo has a lot of 19th century buildings. Very
Structured
European
buildings.
style. And this is actually a bank. And it's actually from inside, it's very beautiful. It's very beautifully decorated.
It's the oldest bank in Egypt, right?
It's the oldest bank in Egypt, yes. Cairo also never sleeps. This is an interesting part about Egypt is you hit it at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 in the morning, the city just keeps running. And you can see this is one of the bridges, in another bridge in Cairo, you can see fountains. This is the Nile. These are all the hotels in Cairo. I actually live here. If the picture extends a little bit, you can see our house.
Picture always blocks out your house.
Yeah.
And
Still house.
you actually have, I'm sorry?
Is it still house?
It's my parents' house.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the cruises that go in the Nile. I don't know if Yahya has done it before. He didn't. So you go on these cruises, they take you all across all across
Have a
Cairo.
dinner, watch a nice show.
Yes. Cairo has an underground. So Houston doesn't have that. Obviously New York has one. It actually is very important because it's the first in the Middle East and Africa, and there are 5 million people who use it, and this is a picture from the underground, and it's extremely convenient because otherwise the traffic in Cairo is impossible. So going and driving in Cairo is not a good idea. I never do it. It's not a good idea to do it. But taking the underground is very convenient. There's also a Cairo Opera House. How many of you know what opera is? Music, right? Classical, exactly. So Cairo has an old opera house, and there is a famous composer. His name is Omar Khayrat, and actually there are a lot of concerts. And I personally like classical music, so I've been there many times. These are pictures of the citadel in Cairo. So this is a castle that was built 1,000 years ago. Okay, not 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago. And it's still, as you can see, it's still very functional. You can see the cannons are still there, very old cannons. It has a mosque inside, and that's from inside the mosque. And you can see where it is in the rest of Cairo. So this is all the rest of Cairo. And this is the ring road around Cairo, as a matter of fact. So this is like Beltway 8. It's going across like Beltway 8. Okay, this is more of religious landmarks in Cairo. Religion plays a big role in Egypt. Egypt is mostly a Muslim country. So about 80–90% of the population are Muslims, and about 10 to 20% are Christians. I think it's about 15%. And Egypt has one of the oldest Christian population in the world. In fact, a lot of the Christian theology has been developed in Egypt, and Egyptians are very proud of that too. So you can see these are two of the oldest mosques in Egypt. This is about 1,000 years old. And these are some of the oldest churches in Egypt. Egyptians believe that Jesus and Mary made a trip to Egypt and stayed there for several years, and they went back. That's what Egyptians believe. And this tree is a very old tree, and Egyptians believe that Mary and Jesus spent some time under that tree, so it's sacred for Christians in Egypt. Okay, the Egyptian Museum. It's the most, it's the richest museum in the world in Egyptian artifacts. It's located in downtown Cairo. This is the building. I have been there many times. Yahya has been there once, okay? And this is the mask of Tutankhamun. This is made out of gold. It's about this size. So, and all of the artifacts for Tutankhamun has gold in it, or king tut. Going through that museum is just fascinating. We spent a whole day and we didn't finish all of it. This is how the pyramids. You can actually climb the pyramids. It's allowed to up to a point. After that, it's not allowed to. So this picture is taken from one of the pyramids looking at the other. There are three big pyramids. One stone, one of the building blocks of the pyramid is equal to 25 fridges. Whoa. So I just want you to imagine how they built it. It was not easy. Okay? It was not easy. This compares the pyramid to the Eiffel Tower and to Statue of Liberty. So this is the Statue of Liberty. It's shorter. The pyramid is bigger. It's actually huge. It's really big. The first time you see it, I was really impressed. Now, there are tunnels inside the pyramid. It's not just monolithic, solid structure. There are tunnels inside it that goes down and goes up, and you can actually go inside and spend a few minutes there, and then go outside. This is a football field, and this is the green is the football field, and the rest is the base of the pyramid. So you can see it's about how many football fields? It's 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 10 football fields. It's big. Yeah, question. Yeah.
Are there really booby traps?
Booby traps inside the pyramid? Not that I know of. People actually go inside. I mean, you can go in here and you can go inside. They believe that there are other tunnels that we have not discovered. And they put cameras, right? It was a famous show on the Discovery Channel. They inserted a camera inside one of those tunnels, and there was a gate, and they couldn't open that gate. So there might be other things that we haven't discovered. I don't know.
Was King Tut buried in a pyramid?
No, he was buried in Luxor, which is in southern Egypt. Yeah. The pyramid is now about what, 3,000 something years old. Okay. Yeah. Yes, question.
How many pyramids are in?
There are many pyramids in Egypt.
Hundreds.
But there are 3 big ones. There's a big one for, there's a bigger and a medium and a smaller one, and then there are hundreds of tiny ones.
What's the smaller one?
The smaller one is about 1/3 of the size of the big one. Yes.
What was the purpose of making this?
Great question. We don't know for sure. Nobody really knows for sure, but it's believed that the king of Egypt built the pyramid so they get buried in that pyramid when they die. So that's what most people believe, that this was a shrine for the king when the king dies. Yes. More questions? No? About the pyramid? Yes.
Did you see that if there's mummies in the pyramid?
That there are mummies in the pyramid? When they opened it, they did not discover any mummies in the pyramid. What happened most likely is what people believe is the king was buried in the pyramid, but the thieves stole
Okay.
the mummy and whatever gold that was around that mummy, because ancient Egyptians, thousands of years ago, they wanted to bury the king with all of his things. So his bedroom, his jewelry, everything, okay? So I think what happened, most people believe that what happened is that the thieves just stole those and they disappeared, except for King Tut's.
Yeah.
And the reason is that it was a far away tomb, so the thieves couldn't get to it, and it was very well hidden, so the thieves didn't even know about it. So it survived, and that's how we discovered it. Yes?
Aren't the pyramids of Giza?
Yes. Giza is a suburb of Cairo. You think of Giza as like Katy for Houston. Something like that. Yes.
Which pharaoh built the biggest pyramid?
Which who?
Which pharaoh?
Pharaoh Cheops, right? It's Cheops. Right. Cheops is an English. The right way we say it in Egypt would be Khufu. But the British, when they occupied Egypt, they couldn't say Khufu, so they said Cheops. Yes, I get a lot of questions about the pyramid. Yes.
Whenever they find the pyramid, do they just like bust down a door to get inside, or
No,
is
there's
it,
actually
or is
a
there
hole.
a door open?
I don't know.
There's a hole.
There was a hole, but I don't know if originally there was a gate and they had to open that gate.
No, there's
I
just
really
a
don't
hole
know.
in the
There's the hole?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
You can actually see the in the Egyptian museum. You can actually see King Tut's tomb and his stuff.
Yes. There is a whole gallery for King Tut in the Egyptian museum, and you can see all the gold. You can see his chair, which is actually.
And there's
made
another
of gold
gallery
too.
for all the mummies.
And the mummies. There is a gallery also for all the mummies.
There's a mummy.
Yes, and he saw all the mummies.
There's a mummy with that's buried with a
Monkey.
Yeah. Monkey.
So that's a queen that had a pet monkey. And when the queen died and the monkey died, they buried both of them together because she liked her pet.
Wow.
Okay?
Okay.
I want to modify my monkey.
Alright.
Comments off, please.
Okay. So this is again Egypt, this is the Red Sea, this is the Mediterranean. A lot of Egyptians, because Cairo is hot, it's like Houston. So if you have Houston and you want to, it's hot summer, you go and spend the time in the equivalent of San Diego, which is Alexandria, and this whole coast of the Mediterranean. So in the summer, most Egyptians go over there. They drive, there's a highway, there are actually 2 or 3 that connect Cairo with Alexandria. And this is actually the gate, the toll station that connects Cairo to Alexandria. So you stop here, you pay the toll, and then you go to Alexandria. So this is Alexandria, this is the coast of the Mediterranean. There used to be a minaret, but it was destroyed by an earthquake about 1,000 years ago. This is one of the king's palaces. It's in Egypt, in Alexandria. There are Roman ruins in Egypt also, very famous Roman ruins. Egypt was part of the Roman Empire for a very long period of time. There's also the Alexandria Library, which is one of the, it's like the Library of Congress. It's one of the largest libraries in the world, although of course the Library of Congress is a lot bigger. Yes.
Who's Alexander the Great?
Alexandria was named after Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great was a Greek king who invaded all the way from Greece all the way to China. And doing that, he also invaded Egypt, and he built a city, which is Alexandria, that was named after him. So it's like Alexandria, Virginia also. There are many Alexandrias in the United States, and they were all named after Alexander the Great. But the original Alexandria is the one in Egypt, and that's the one he built himself, actually. Yes?
Are there actually camels in Egypt?
There are actually camels in Egypt, but people do not really ride camels. That's actually... people do not really ride camels normally. You ride them for taking pictures, mostly. But there are camels in
Are they
Egypt.
comfortable to sit on?
Are they comfortable? Not really, not for a very long time. The World War II, Alexandria, or Al-Alamein, which is a city close to Alexandria, was a big site for World War II. How many of you know about World War II? Okay, so the United States fought in World War II against Germany, and that big fight happened in Alexandria, or very close to Alexandria. And actually, there are American soldiers who are buried at this site. It's in the desert. Close to it is Marsa Matruh, which is a very beautiful beach, and I love to go there. There are many resorts that Egyptians spend the time going there. And some people also go to the oasis. There are oases in the Sahara Desert in Egypt, and people go and spend some time over there. Okay? Scuba diving.
Oh, that's gigantic.
Desert safari, we wanted to do that last year, we just didn't. Fishing, you can get big fish in Egypt. Scuba diving is amazing because the coral reef in Egypt is actually the largest coral reef in the world. It's even bigger than the one in Australia, and it's very nice to go scuba diving there. Windsurfing, the Red Sea coast in Egypt is very windy. And it's like Western Texas, and a lot of people go and do windsurfing over there. Okay, so sports. So soccer is very big in Egypt. So unlike, it's American football is not. I'm sad to tell you that, but it's not. Egypt plays a lot of soccer, handball, squash, hockey, weightlifting. And some Egyptians won medals, so this is Nahla Ramadan, she's the world champion in weightlifting, and she's Egyptian, so don't fight with her.
Swimming, Muhammad, كمان.
And this is the Cairo Stadium. Yes, go ahead.
What's handball?
What's handball? Handball is a sport that's not very well known in the United States. It's like football, but you play it all with the hand. It's like soccer, but you play it with hand. No, I'm sorry, did I say like football? It's like soccer, but you play it with hand. Just so you know, it's very confusing, because American football, everywhere else, and we call soccer, right? Soccer is known as soccer only in the United States. Everywhere else in the world it's called football. So it gets confusing. But yes. Yes.
Where is the best place to go fishing?
The Red Sea.
Yeah.
Is the best place to go fishing. That big fish we have the picture of, that was from the Red Sea in Egypt. Yes.
Egypt actually won the 2010 Egyptian World Cup.
African Cup.
African Championship. Yes. That's a big deal for Egyptians. Soccer is huge. I mean, if there is a soccer match in Cairo, it's like the whole country shuts down. Yes.
Can you catch those fish like that if it's a big fish in the Red Sea?
If it's what?
Can you catch the fish like that at the bank of the Red Sea?
At the bank of the Red Sea? Yeah, you go fishing. You can go fishing either on the shore, or you take a boat and you go inside. You get bigger fish if you go
Deeper in
the sea.
I've swam there, and I only went into the shallow side because I knew there was going to be big fish.
Yeah.
And there were these tiny fish tickling me.
There are tiny, yes, that's true. There are plenty of fish, and they will start tickling you when you start swimming there. Huh? No, they are not afraid of you. No, they were not afraid of you. They will tickle you. It's actually interesting. Yes. Yeah. You forgot. That's okay. Yes.
Are there any dangerous fish?
Yes, there is shark in the Red Sea.
and barracudas.
There is shark in the Red Sea.
And barracudas.
Yes.
Are there piranhas?
No, piranhas no.
There are barracudas, which are
There
similar.
are barracudas, but there are African sharks. So, but they don't get on shore. You have to go and swim deep inside the Red Sea to get them. Yes. There are lakes, yes. Not like the Great Lakes in the United States or in Canada. No. The sharks, no. There are big fish in the lakes in Egypt, but not sharks in the lake. If I go back to the map, So we talked about the Lake Nasser, right, which is this one here. And there are lakes here, there are smaller lakes here. At the edge between, they are like the Mississippi marshes in Louisiana. And there are some lakes here, it's a big fishing industry here too. And in Lake Nasser there are big fish. This is and then there is big fish in the Red Sea. The Mediterranean doesn't have as much. Okay.
You have a question here.
More questions? Yes.
Oh. You know the fish you showed in the picture? Is that like big compared to the Red Sea, or is it like small compared to the Red Sea?
No, it's big. You won't get, it's not like you go fishing, that's what you get smallest. No, you have to try hard to get big fish like this. Okay, so food. Okay, so you want to talk about this?
Yes.
You want to talk about it? So this is McDonald's in Egypt. It's a big deal. There is a sandwich called Mac Falafel. Okay, and this is the one. And this is how McDonald's is written in Arabic, by the way. Arabic is the language of Egypt. You want to talk through this? You go explain the food.
Hummus is a kind of dipping that you usually do with dry bread or soft bread.
Yeah.
And as he said, that McDonald's is very huge. You can find McDonald's at every corner.
Yeah, like here.
And there's Turkish coffee.
Yeah.
And
Koshari, explain the koshari. You remember the koshari?
yeah, koshari. It's a kind of rice with black beans in it and like vegetables.
Pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
And what else? How about the kebab, grape leaves?
Oh, the grape leaves, they're actually grape leaves, but they stuff it with rice and vegetables. So, and they put like salt and all of the chlorophyll out of it, and it tastes actually good.
Yeah. Food. What's food?
When was the last time you had grape leaves? Yeah,
Yesterday.
yeah, last night.
Okay. Food. What's food?
Food is a kind of, you can eat it in breakfast.
It's beans.
Yeah.
Beans. Yes.
And mostly people eat it at breakfast.
Yeah.
And
What's kunafa?
Kunafa. It's what? No. Kunafa is a dessert. The kunafa.
oh yeah, it's like it's a dessert that they usually eat. It looks like hay, but it's not.
It's like hay.
It's like
It's shredded wheat.
macaroni, but it's a dessert.
It's shredded wheat.
Shredded wheat. Okay, thank you. Tiny macaroni.
It's a dip.
Kebab is meat.
Oh yeah.
What? Explain kebab.
They like put beef or chicken on a stick, and that's a kebab.
And then you grill it.
And then you grill it.
Yeah.
What's up, Baba? Shish kebab.
Baba,
Yep.
Baba Ganoud. Yeah. What's Baba? You don't know that. Mama probably would explain.
It's another kind of dip that's made with eggplants.
Made with eggplants, and I personally love it.
I never ate it.
Yeah, you do eat it.
What else? Yes. Turkish coffee. Turkish coffee is like espresso, but
It's a very
thicker.
strong.
It's a thicker espresso, so there's a lot of caffeine in there. I don't like it. I like the tea more, and Egyptians drink tea with mint. Okay, and it's very nice. I like it too. Yeah. I like chai tea latte too. Huh?
Mint?
What's what?
It's like a peppermint. It's a pepper.
The moussaka. Yeah. In
Moussaka.
Arabic it's moussaka. Moussaka is what? Eggplant.
Eggplant.
It's a special type of eggplant.
Cow?
What else?
That's
Huh?
what's your
What's what?
Do people in Egypt look like you?
Yeah. Pretty much.
darker skin? Really?
Okay, you want to say something else? Yes.
What?
Arabic.
Arabic and sometimes French and a lot of English.
Okay.
Can you guys talk
Yes, I speak Arabic.
Arabic to
I
each
speak
other?
Arabic.
Can you
I,
guys
can I speak Arabic?
Say.
Good morning. Good morning. Sabah al-khair.
Say hi.
Well,
Why do they call the Red Sea the Red Sea?
it's like, why you
There is actually a lot of discussion about that. People think that the coral reef, when the sun reflects on it, sometimes
you
it
can
looks
see
red.
red.
There's actually plenty of speculation about that. There are many theories about it. You can read about it actually more in Wikipedia. Wikipedia has a good section about that. Yes.
There's actually a Greek myth about the Red Sea.
Yes, go ahead. Tell us.
There's, okay. Well, Perseus killed this monster and the blood. Okay, I can't remember.
That's okay.
Adam.
Can you guys speak Arabic to each other right now?
We usually, I don't like to speak Arabic, but they force me to.
Good for you. Good for you.
So I speak Arabic, I speak English, I know French, and I'm learning
Italian.
Italian. I know Italian.
I say hello in Arabic.
No, you. ازيك يا أخي عامل إيه?
Good.
So that's what he does. He understands what I'm saying. He replies back to in English because it's not cool, right?
I don't like it.
I think it's gonna be cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Entertainment. Yeah. So TV and movies are big in Egypt. Actually, this is the TV broadcasting building in Cairo. There's a media production studio. There is Arabic Sesame Street, which gets produced in Cairo.
Actually, my little cousin, she usually watches it a lot. And
Yes, yes. It's the same characters, but it's in Arabic and it's produced in Arabic. And actually, when Laura Bush visited Egypt, she was featured on the Arabic Sesame Street in Cairo. When the former First Lady. A lot of comedy, by the way. Yes. Yes. I don't know what they call it in Arabic though. Do they call it the same Elmo and all the?
No, they have Arabic names for
They have
them.
Arabic names for it.
Big bird, big bird. It's raining.
Okay, comments are off unless you call them with your hand ready.
any questions or?
Any other questions?
Okay. There's lots of comedy movies, and actually we know a lot of actors because my grandma and my grandfather were directors, and my mom knows a lot of them, and next time I go to Egypt, I'm going to actually meet them.
Okay. A lot of comedy, a lot of hilarious shows and movies, and you watch them also, right? Do you like them? Do you laugh at these?
Do they speak in Arabic on the movie? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But
Arabic is the language, is the official language of Egypt, and most people, some people would know English and other languages too. Yeah.
Yeah, actually there was Wall-E.
Egypt is yes. So the movies you see here, they go to Egypt too, and most people would view them. Egypt actually is the third largest producer of movies in the world after Hollywood and Bollywood. Bollywood is in India, right? Hollywood is in California, and Egypt is the third largest producer of movies in the world after these two places. Yes.
Scott.
Scott.
What kind of money do you use?
What kind of
Pounds.
pounds? Egyptian pounds.
I actually have some in
And $1 is equal to 6.
5.5.
5.5.
6, yeah.
And you can find a lot of $100 pounds.
100
Pounds.
pound
100-pound bills.
Yeah, 100-pound bills.
Yeah.
Damn.
Bollywood was where High School Musical 2 Indian style came out.
What?
Yeah.
It was
It's
the
true.
Cheetah Girls.
Oh, whatever.
Okay, how about two more
You
questions?
are way above my head now.
Are the Yes, actually.
Are they what?
Are they hosted in Egypt?
Yes, yes. They are filmed and shot in Egypt.
Actually, my favorite
Mostly.
movie,
Sometimes they go outside too.
my favorite movie actually in Egypt is the guy who kept on waking up and waking up and waking up, and he kept on getting killed.
What's the name?
ألف مبروك.
Alf Mabruk. What does Alf Mabruk mean? A thousand.
A thousand thank yous.
No,
A
thousand.
thousand congratulations.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's this guy.
Tell us the story of that.
There's this guy.
Stories.
He gets a job. I think. I'm not sure. I just
movie
know
if you
all
don't
the
even
rest,
know.
but not the beginning.
You want to tell us the story? You didn't say anything today.
That's okay. You can go.
What's the beginning?
Okay, so this guy wakes up. He's supposed to be getting married.
Oh
right?
yeah. And then every time every time he wakes up and he's about to go, he gets killed.
Right. So so something happens to him. He's going to the marriage, and then he
What?
gets a car accident. And then all of a sudden we see him waking up from. It's a dream.
Yeah.
And then he goes back again.
No,
and
but
then a
what
different accident
but
would
what
happen.
was the underlying meaning of the?
What was the underlying meaning? It was a big
his
message.
mom was getting cancer
Yeah.
and brain cancer, you have to cut your hair bald.
No, he was very ignorant. He was very selfish. He didn't care about any people.
Yeah.
So every day when he goes to bed and he gets killed, he wakes up and he realizes a new fact that he's never been seen before. How ignorant he was to so many people. So
Is that a little like Groundhog Day?
it's very similar to yeah.
What is Groundhog Day?
It's a nice movie.
Yes.
His mom's getting cancer, and then she's about to get her hair cut off.
Yeah.
And then he actually shaves his head, and this is actually real. This is when he's awake completely, and then actually he's at the wedding, but then his mom's about to get killed by a car accident, but her legs won't be moving. I don't know why. I forgot. And actually a truck's come with oil and has matches.
And he gets killed.
Yeah, he actually
Is this movie rated G?
There are no ratings there for movies.
no rating.
Well, there are two ratings. It's either it can
there.
be for kids or it cannot be. There are
Yeah.
only two ratings.
Okay.
It's less than
No,
600.
actually,
No, this one was for everybody.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually simpler in Egypt. There are only two ratings. It's either for adults or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
And like he gets a car, and then he gets his car, and he jumps in, grabs his mom, throws her onto the sidewalk, and then he gets crashed and gets killed.
Yeah.
Is there a giant?
Yeah.
For real this time. Huh?
Yeah, actually there is. He gets exploded.
That's
They
a happy
don't show
ending.
they don't show the blood or anything.
It's a real one.
I know.
Okay. Alright. So there are good websites about Egypt. How many of you go on the web? Everybody goes on the web? Yeah. The best one is touregypt.net or touregypt.com.
You can actually find pictures
There are
of
plenty.
Egypt.
This one has a lot of pictures about very, very professionally and nice pictures about Egypt, and it talks about Egypt, and there are many articles about it. Wikipedia also has many good articles, very accurate also.
And
about
if
the
you wanna, actually, my dad works for GENE, and there's actually GENE at Egypt. So if your dad's looking for a job or your mom, you can actually go on GE.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yahya. Yahya, thank you very much.
Okay, hands
Have a
are
seat.
down.
All
Hands are
right.
down. We've run out of time for questions.
Thank you.
What do we say?
I'm glad they were.